interaction between the young Krishna and the gopis, and illustrates so many different things. It illustrates the universality of Krishna, the idea that Krishna is everywhere. And if you have a pure and loving heart, that Krishna will be present to you as much as anywhere else, equally present everywhere. And the joy of this great devotion that culminates in prema, pure love, ecstatic love. There's no other example that I know of in religious literature that illustrates this quality so much and so highly. And so we have so many models for us to emulate in this. And most people will go along this tuning method of bhakti yoga. Then we have Krishna, the revolutionary teacher, who teaches us this Bhagavad Gita. Revolutionary because prior to that, all these Upanishads and so on were available only to, let's call it, saints and scholars. That is, all these Upanishads written in a very abstract form, yet the Bhagavad Gita mentions in every chapter that it's Upanishad, that it ties together all these various ideas, all these beautiful philosophical concepts, and makes them practical for us. In every chapter makes us practical. If you have any difficulty, any psychological problem, any emotional problem, any material problem, any spiritual problem, the answers are to be found here in this book, Bhagavad Gita. But is it easy to study? Well, so many commentaries have been there, and it is a Gita after all, it is a song. And so, if you study poems and songs, you'll know that these are worth reflecting on, every single sentence. And it's the same thing with the Gita. We have to study it in the same way that it arrived. Vyasa, the author, must have sat down and meditated. And from his meditation must have thought out some things, must have reflected on it, and then must have put it down. And so this process in reverse is called Shravana, hearing, listening, reading with mindfulness. Then the next is reflecting on it, reflecting on its meaning. There are so many people who say, oh yes, I read the Bhagavad Gita a few years ago. But did you study it? It's not a novel. Did you study it? Did you reflect on it? And then most importantly, nididhyasana, did you meditate on it? So in that spirit, we have to study this. And Krishna is a great example of how to juggle things as well in practical life. Instead of pronouncing these things from a distance, he volunteers to be Arjun's charioteer, taking an active role, teaching as he goes, participating in our human life, human sorrows. So this is the area of Krishna Janmashtami, and therefore very appropriate for us to study more of this Bhagavad Gita. Now there's a very interesting stanza here. So what is the way of obtaining the Supreme? This requires some explanation. Don't forget, all of this is on the subject of yajna, sacrifice. Previously, some people sacrifice regulation of food habits. If we follow all these separate yajnas, we'll feel we will live a very balanced life. We won't be eating too much, nor too little, because everything will be sacred. And we mentioned last week the famous stanza that considers every offering to be Brahman, the content of the food to be Brahman, the ghee that goes with it to be Brahman, the hand that offers it to be Brahman, the food, the area, the fire, digestive fire that digests it to be Brahman. And the remark that the one who sees Brahman in all these activities goes on to Brahman. But yet, how often do we do actions unconsciously? There are two versions of mindful. One is mind full and crammed, nothing more to go in. And mindful, meaning steering one's attention in a certain direction, being aware of everything and all activities, making them sacred. Samaha pranayam is a yogic practice. Controlling breathing is a well-known technique of regulating the nervous system. If somebody comes to you in a nervous state, tell them to take a few deep breaths. Soon the person relaxes. Doing regular systematic control of that particular life energy called prana at the level of the regulation of the inflation and deflation of the lungs has a whole wonderful effect on the nervous system. Counterwise, of course, we find if we are agitated, the breathing also will be agitated. All of these are found in great detail in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Vyasa's commentary on it, as well as Vachaspati's commentary on Vyasa's commentary, his gloss and so on. All these go into great detail, as all sutra literature has these commentaries, because it is just a bare thread, a sutra, a mere aphorism. So what is the way of obtaining supreme? What is the practical way? Practical way means yoga. And 18 chapters are all called yogas. 18 yogas are there. If you want to have a little fun, and somebody says, oh, what kind of yoga do you practice? And your retort could be, what of the 18 yogas available? And the chances are they won't know what you're speaking about. But of course, it boils down to 4 central areas. And all of these are covered in this text. Yajna shish stramrta bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokastya ayadnyasya kudonya kurushatma. The eaters of the nectar, the remnant of the yajna, go to the eternal Brahman. This world is not for the non-sacrificer. How then for the other, the non-sacrificer? How then for the sacrificer or best of the gurus? So, eaters of the nectar. Now, is food nectar? Well, mindlessly taken in front of the television with Sky News on and with murders or Agatha Christie and blood everywhere, I'm not sure if you can consider food to be nectar, because you won't even know that you're eating. The mouth is doing the actions, no doubt, and saliva, the autonomic actions of the body are taking place. Saliva is being reduced, gastric juice is being reduced, but stress hormones are also being released. And after a while, there's a human complaint, oh, I have indigestion. Well, yes, you digested all Agatha Christie blood and murder and so on and so forth, and anxiety along with your food, just as an example. But when you do everything, every action, with a certain awareness, a certain attention, a certain concentration, and a certain love of it, as a sacrifice, as a yajna, as an offering, that's the point, as something that is sacred, all food then becomes sacred. All food becomes prasad. Food that is offered in a formal puja context is called prasad. And then we partake of that. The idea in puja is that God takes the subtle portion and we take the gross portion. But we are sharing in something that has been made sacred by virtue of the fact that it was offered and accepted. Now, when we eat food, everything can be offered. When we offer it, of course, with the right intention, it is accepted. That food, because it's sacred, becomes health-giving. It charges up the whole body. It is exactly the right food. We can argue whether the right vitamins are involved, whether the right proteins are involved. We can take a nutritionist approach. But if we put that to one side and say, with the right attitude, every food that is taken is sacred. We'll be careful, therefore, of the quality we offer. Just as when we offer food to God in puja or whatever, we are very careful of the food we give. Or when we offer food to somebody we love, we'll take good food. I remember when I introduced some devotees to the idea of just lighting a lamp. And we didn't have ghee there around at the time, so we bought olive oil. And one of the devotees, no names but Pactual, said, "Oh, but it's very expensive. What about sunflower oil or cooking oil?" No, you should offer the very best, surely. You offer the best. To the person you love the most, you offer the best quality. You take out your best tea and manuka honey, and that's what you give. See, you don't just chuck a tea bag in and say, "Well, good luck with it." Take a tea bag, throw it in, chuck the water in. I don't know how old this milk is, but never mind, have it. You're very careful about offering something to somebody you love. Same thing. So God sits in all of us. The divine sits in all of us. The Supreme Self sits in all of us. The glory of the Self is within. And that withinness we have to acknowledge, not just within us, but within all. So the eaters of the nectar are those who eat as if it were a sacred offering, as if it were a religious rite, as if it were a yajna, as if it were a sacrifice. The remnant of the yajna, and the rest goes to the eternal Brahman. The eaters of the nectar, the remnant of the yajna is the nectar. That is the remaining portion over. You're eating the remaining portion, not the main portion. That means you'll offer it to the divine first, and you'll take second. You see, typically in an Indian household, who gets fed first? The children. Who gets fed after the children? The men, lucky fellows. And the self-sacrificing people who cooked the food and prepared food, they eat last. What a wonderful example of a sacrificial attitude. This world is not for the non-sacrificer. You won't get the best because it's a greedy attitude. I'll do it for me. The more, the better. How then? The other obeys to the gurus. So whatever person does must be conducive to the common welfare. That's what we should think of, on the basis that the self resides in all. Self-annihilation is the godliest of all that person's endeavors. And when the person or the man in an individual is crucified, the divine in man manifests itself. Look at the wonderful sacrifice that we find in Christianity as a Jesus sacrificing himself on the cross, taking away that I-ness. What's the meaning of it? You take the I, you put it on a board. I keep thinking we should have a whiteboard here, as is my custom. Anyhow, we'll get round to it. You put an I down and you cross it out. There's a philosophical meaning, really, or mystical meaning, if you will, of this crucifixion. So the divine in man manifests itself, and he, or the person that offers his jivahood, his selfhood, as an offering, regains his Brahmanhood, regains his glory. Put it in Jesus' language. He regains your inheritance. You can put it like that. So that when the very highest can be gained by the performance of yajna, then the gaining of the lower things by this means will also come easily to you. If you make friends with the ruler of a country, The whole country is at your beck and call. All the resources are at your beck and call. Because you bypass all the junior officers, all the civil servants who have no real impact. So what should a progressive person do then? Is the next stanza. Evam bahu vidha yajna vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhi tan sarvan evam yatam vimokshase. Various yajnas, acts of worship, sacrifices such as these are spread out in the storehouse of the Vedas. Know them all to be born of action, karma, and thus knowing you shall be free. See, Brahma, the creative aspect, this cosmic mind that comes from age to age to save us, is denoted with four faces, denoting the four directions. You can see everywhere. Veda, Prakriti, nature, phenomena, Maya, all these terms refer to the same reality. That means that what we call Brahman, the supreme source, the key is in the name, Brah, the thing that infinitely grows, see, is both the material and the efficient cause. Otherwise, we have a problem. Where did all this universe come from? And there is in it, of course, a divine design of this action, this karma. So they who convert this mere action into yajna, these are the karma yogis. Karma is just action, but karma yoga is yajna. And they construe and conform to the sacred plan of the divine. All the happenings in nature are capable of being converted into yajna, like conservation of energy. For example, if we suffer from anger, we don't squash it. No psychological process or psychiatric process will recommend that you repress anger. Bring it out, but don't bring it out in a damaging way. You see a modern psychology technique. Take anger, yes. Don't repress it. Go out in a field and dig a field. Then you're not harming anybody. Do we agree with such a technique? No. This disagrees with it because it takes out the holistic element. It says you're not a part of anything. This anger, no doubt, when expressed against somebody, is damaging. But if you express anger, it's a lack of self-control, and you're damaging yourself. Your own psyche gets damaged. So don't do that. Make a conversion. Be angry with God if you're a devotee. That's why Ravana was saved in Ramayana, because he was always angrily thinking of Rama, Rama, Rama. By thinking of Rama, just by directing anger toward him, what was he doing? Meditating on Rama. So, yes, Ramakrishna tells us, if you have to be angry with God. Why do you put me here in such a circumstance? Why don't you reveal yourself to me? Come on. You're supposed to be my father, my mother. Why don't you show yourself? Why do you lead me on this song and dance? That kind of approach. Take all this energy and convert it. Sublimation is what we call it. Convert it into yajna. So the self-seeking person shrinks because egoism is a shrinking process. Generosity of spirit, love, is an expanding thing. The flower loves and expands. It doesn't shrink. The attainment of heaven, which is superior, is beside the point to such a person. We don't look for a reward. That was the early part of the Vedas. Make sure that this world and the next is all secure. But will it bring you freedom? Will it give you liberty? No. Will it give you the bliss? No. Will it give you momentary happiness? Yes. But then, after that, what? So what should the progressive person do is a question. And the next stanza will tell it. So various yajnas such as these are spread out in the storehouse. And the person who knows how to convert these is in tune with that. How does liberation come about as a result? So the next stanza clarifies it. So it tells us, Shreyan dravya mayat yajnat yajna yajnaha param tapa sarvam karma kilam partha jnane parisamapyati. Knowledge sacrifice. And here Krishna says, scorch your foes, scorch of your enemies. When you promote the positive, worshipful thing, all the negative disappears by itself. And all your enemies, internal enemies, are annihilated. Knowledge sacrifice is superior to wealth sacrifice. All karma, all action in its entirety, Upartha, culminates in knowledge of some kind. The magnificent temples, attended with elaborate and awe-inspiring ritualistic worship, serve more to make man earthly than enlightened. Because I want to do this for this person, that person, myself. Even when we say this person or that person, we analyze it properly, it might well be to do with ourselves. There might be a pride. Will you pray for me? Yes. Nobody else is worthy of it. I myself will do it. That kind of pride can come in. Or the pride which says something like, I do it for myself. A kind of egoistic intention can be there. So Sri Ramakrishna tells us this. He is truly a man who has made money his slave. He is not fit to be called a man who does not know how to make use of money. You see, it's a different approach. Unfortunately, there's this misunderstanding. Sense pleasure is evil. Money is evil. But money is just something that's just paper. Wealth is at our disposal. Wealth is ours already. But when we become attached to it, that's where the difficulty comes. It doesn't say leave off wealth. You take wealth, but value it properly. And that is why you want to be wealthy. You worship God as wealth. We do that. Hinduism does that anyway, by worshiping Lakshmi. So that every convenience store owned by Hindu will have Lakshmi there and so on, auspiciously there. Even if you don't believe in that, and even if you don't have it, that's okay. The point is this. The wealth creator, the creator of the entire universe, with all its wealth, inherent wealth. See, the mother comes, if you like, Mother Earth. We don't call it Father Earth. Throughout every culture, we consider Earth to be Mother Earth. That's our expression. Look at what a mother we have. We break her skin in order to get mineral wealth. Go to the depth of some 40 meters in some case, 40 levels, 40 times 30 meters actually, see, to that level. Some of the deepest mines in the world are in South Africa, and they go several kilometers down. But the mother doesn't complain. Here, take my wealth. Take the gold which is there. It's yours. But use it for some good purpose. Have a generosity of spirit about it. Don't be selfish about it. So, be a master of it. That's all that's required. Make sure that it's not the other way around. What other attitude aids the growth of knowledge and wisdom apart from that? And now we come on to a different subject, and that is the supremacy of knowledge itself. Because knowledge and freedom come together. Jnanam and moksham, they go together. They are synonymous terms. When you have the full-blown knowledge, then you have your freedom. And in any sense, even in a diluted sense, it's so. That if I know something, I have mastery over it. Chances are, you know your name. chances are you don't have to get up in the morning and say, now, before it goes away, let me repeat 1,000,000 times what my name is, lest I forget it during the day. And it doesn't go away when you use it. Oh, dear, 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 dear. What's the matter? I have to say my name 12 more times today. Why? I wrote 12 checks today. And with each one, my name went away. No, it's not like that. So when you know something, it's equivalent to you being master of it, isn't it? So from 34 now to 39, these stanzas elucidate this whole idea of the supremacy of knowledge. And this will be our last stanza that we do this evening. Tadvidi pranapatina pariprashnina sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Seek that enlightenment by what methods? By prostrating. That is why we prostrate. Prostration is a very therapeutic thing to do because it takes away our ego. We learn humility from it. But also, by even mentally prostrating to that entity, they find an opportunity for wonder, adoration, and thankfulness. It demonstrates our complete submission. I always joke, and I guess it's not politically correct, or not politically correct. It's not probably wise in this area to say this, but you see in the Enneagram, I make a point of saying we should all be Muslims. That is, we should all submit to a divine will in some way. I don't think we'll tell the teenagers here.
Maybe next week. Maybe not the first lesson.
So we should all be prostrating people. We should all mentally make the divine first and ourselves last. Prostration. The next thing, pariprashnina, by questioning. By questions and by service. By questions, remove any superstition, remove any doubts. And then, so by a sense of humility, by a sense of questioning, and by service, ultimately. The wise, the seers into the truth will instruct you in that knowledge. Who should we be prostrating to? Who should be asking questions of? Who should we be of service to? Those wise teachers, those seers into the truth, who instruct you in the knowledge. Those are the people. Very often, when newcomers come and see prostrations going on, they get a little embarrassed, maybe even worried, not understanding this very passage. So you can summarize it like this: saluting, constant questioning, not being lazy about questions, and then having a generosity to be of service out of a sense of thankfulness in the beginning, but out of a sense also of the other things that led up to it. So that's the relationship normally in our teaching between a teacher and a student going on. And we'll probably just elaborate on that next week, but Sri Ramakrishna has this to say on it. Of what avail are prayer and devotion to an aspirant who views his master as a mere human being? The disciple ought not to hold the master as a man. Before getting the vision of the deity, the novice sees the form of the guru as a preliminary. This form metamorphoses into the deity, and the disciple thereby understands that God and guru are one and the same. The master awakens the spiritual consciousness in him, and more than that, he leads the initiated into Brahman itself. If the aspirant in earnest about spiritual enlightenment, or is earnest about that, the Lord sees to it that he comes in contact with an enlightened one. Seek, and the light is sent to you. Now, people quote some anonymous thing, and this man, Anonymous, has a lot to answer for. But I don't know who he is, or even if it's a he, it could be a she. But Anonymous writes a number of different poems and has a number of different sayings. And sometimes it comes under the heading of they. See? Oh, they say this. But who is this they? We never know. Anyway, they say that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. I don't know who said that, but obviously this Anonymous said it, and they are full of wisdom. But here it is, Sri Ramakrishna himself saying this, that if the aspirant is earnest about spiritual enlightenment, the Lord sees to it. That is a matching movement comes according to your intention and comes in contact with an enlightened one. And seek and the light is sent to you. And Jesus puts it another way. Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you, and all these other things. Then what is the hallmark of enlightenment? The answer will come in the next stanza. We leave it there until next week. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace.